obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud of vile, incurable sores on innocent tongues. My friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory. The old lie, dulce et decorum est pro patria mori.
Not necessarily an anti-war play. Book with Owen, isn't it?
Yes.
Owen had been disgusted when he went back to London to see people talking the war and women sort of marching up to young men and giving them white feathers and all that sort of stuff. He was part of an intellectually highly intelligent group of people who joined in August 1914 because they think it's the right thing to do, and they go out to the war. And you can date that poem to 1915, fitting the clumsy helmet. That's a pH helmet. It's brought in to counter chlorine gas, and chlorine gas doesn't last very long because we start using it to deploying and property and all that sort of stuff. So it's a poem of mid to late 1915. And you go home to London, and all these people talking the war, and these soldiers are out there saying, no, no, it's not like that, it's hell, and nobody's listening. And it's not until the film of the Battle of the Somme is shown in England, in late 1916, the British public starts to realise what this war really is. And there's a huge mismatch between a patriotic drum beating going on in the civilian area and munitions workers going on strike for more pay. And these guys who from the highest ideals have joined the army and come out and are dying and fighting. And then when they go home, they just can't talk to anybody because all they want to do is get back to the trenches and be with their mates because nobody understands it. So I think that's the main driving thing behind it. There's a Kipling poem which had a similar sort of resonance to it about the plight of South African soldiers and their families left with no money when the South African War was on. And it starts off, when you shouted Rule Britannia, when you sung God Save the King, when you finished killing Kruger with your mouth, you've kindly put a shilling in my little tambourine for a gentleman party or the South. Same idea.
I think the original name, rather than Dulce and Decorum, and I don't know the precise, but I think it's sweet and proper for you to die for your country, more or less. But the original name was supposed to be To Jessie Pope, and Jessie Pope was a female poetess of the very patriotic poetry type, publishing in 1915. One of her poems was Cruise for the Game, and how you were supposed to join up, and you'll not be sitting in the bleachers, and you'll come on. And so this was a reaction to it. And I think Wilfred Owen, like Sigrid Sassoon, both had mental breakdowns, and both are seen as the premier anti-war poets of their era.
This one says, refers to the death and dying from a pleasant and distant perspective. It's written by John McCrae, who was a Canadian physician and poet who fought in World War I, and he wrote this poem shortly after the death of a comrade. In Flanders fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the lark, still bravely singing, flies scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you, from falling hands, we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If you break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
John McCrae was a Canadian in the Royal Army Medical Corps, not in the Canadian Army Medical Corps. And he wrote that poem at a place called Essex Farm Casualty Clearing Station, which is still there, which you can go and visit. And it's the only poem, as far as I know, that he ever wrote. And he apparently, a friend of his had gone through that casualty clearing station, he was badly gassed and had died. And not long after, he sat down, and just wrote this in a one draft go. And gave it to him, and this look at that, and never referred to it again. He died in Wimereux, near Calais, and he's buried in the Wimereux communal cemetery. He died of exhaustion, I think in early 18, but I'm not absolutely sure about that. A fine man, fine man.
He died of pneumonia on the 28th of January 1918.
Yeah, it's brought about by total exhaustion.
And it says here that he had several poems published before the war.
I didn't know that.
In the McGill University magazine.
And he'd been an artillery officer even before he became a physician. So, and he had, I believe, served in the Boer War. He had some advanced medical training both in the United States at Johns Hopkins, Baltimore, and in Britain.